All right, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be sort of redesigning from the ground up the 3D platform I'm trying to make. So basically, I was playing around what I could do in a 3D platformer, and I had some ideas, but basically, the tools I was working with were sort of limiting what I could design. So, for example, sort of chicken and egg thing where the character's jump height dictates level design, but then the level design dictates the character's jump height. So if you change one, you have to change the other. And so, iterating on this, um, and also I was just getting kind of bored looking at the same cubes all the time. So today, what I think I want to do is design a couple levels on paper. Well, not paper, but digital paper, right? Design a couple levels on paper and sort of figure out what the game should look like before I actually make it, rather than just sort of jumping in. And one of the major things I need to do is, so we got your character here, right? I should, like a color or something. My character's red cube, right? And I should probably change that at some point. I got my character, and first of all, I jump exactly the same every time. No, there's no higher jump, and air control is always the same. So I think the first thing I need to do is hold go higher, right? And I sort of know how to do this. I think I was able to get it work, sort of, but it's a little finicky. I don't know exactly how to do it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I have moving platforms, right? Which I think are pretty much a necessity for 3D games. But they weren't fun. And part of that is that the game has a fixed camera angle right now. And I don't know if I want to change that or not. But basically, while you're on a platform, there's no gameplay, and getting on and off is needlessly difficult. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is there's just like not a ton of, like, the levels don't feel internally consistent or cohesive or anything like that. I don't know exactly how to explain this third one. It's just like they feel very, like they don't feel like they have any weight to them. How would I even explain this? So here, let me play this game Cubite. Give me a sec. No, obviously this is 2D. I'm working in 3D, but very similar idea. Oh, I think I need some sort of. Do I want a wall jump? Does that work? Let's just put that in the sort of moonshot shot zone. I didn't get a wall jump working in 2D, so. Right, so this world it's very like gamey. It's very artificial, but it feels internally consistent. It like feels like there's a designer's vision here in a way that my game doesn't have, and I don't know really how to bridge that gap. And then yeah, let's just so I don't know exactly how to fix that. Oh, Peglin 1.0 release, huh? Anyway, so anyway, moonshots. I'll jump. So I don't know how to design forward a. I guess this is sort of the hardest one. Might take the longest time. I think that's what I need to do. Of just what do I want the game to look like? I did kind of like purple, so let's start with purple. Let's purple color, purple galaxy. Okay, so if we start with this image. Oh, it's Adobe stock, but whatever. This is just for reference, and fine. We start with this image right here. That we're like cannibal. Let's. All right, let's look at cannibal for a sec. Right. If we look at cannibal, it's not that interesting a game without all the background stuff and like the. It just like feels good to play. There's not much to it other than that. Like there's this cool like futuristic aesthetic. And the pixel art's really pretty. And it's got this like really wide aspect ratio that's kind of rare for video games even today. Oops. So obviously I'm not trying to make cannibal. But if we look at sort of what it's doing and all the parallax layers and stuff like that. Yeah. That's something to look into. I think this part, like the just making the world feel like a world, even if it's like a very artificial sort of gaming world. I think that's kind of the hardest thing. And then number 4 is just forward. Right. Fourth need just more levels, more enemies. Oh yeah, enemies. I think I can do enemies pretty. Maybe even enemies shooting projectiles. I'll dig it up at some point. I had a portrait drawn of my face, and I think it'd be fun. Like I was just going to like, it just like shoots fireballs. That might be fun. Okay, so I guess the first thing to do here is to oh gosh. It's also possible that I want to. I actually really like. So this is my first introduction to Godot 4.3. I just downloaded it like 10 minutes before the stream. Let's see if there's anything new or interesting in here. Okay, here's our friendly Godot logo. And then actually I want to Where's Godot? Okay, it's all packaged in there. I can't like. Ah. Is there a way to just get the directional movement, jumping, code. Okay, this is kind of fun. Yeah, I think it might actually be fun to use like use the character body 3D logo. 3D scene, node, character body 3D. Look at this little guy. I know nothing about voxel modeling, but imagine. You don't fuck it. Let's just do it. Do it. Make our little character. This is so itchy today. One is Shift A. Oh, wait, no, I need to save it. Okay. I'll save as. Go. And then as Shift A image. Maybe it's D. Just copy paste it. Save as and picture. Go. Closest. That's heck. Shift A image preference. So blurry. I have to upscale you. Import. Import. Size. Oh heck. Wait, why is this so blurry? So let's see. Browse images. Okay, so I want to grab this color. New layer. Is that right? Opacity. Like get the actual like. Okay. Design. Recognize. Godot design. Color. That's it. Paper. Oh, okay. Okay. Fan ideas, fan art, engine. Okay, icons over here. U A character body 3D. There we go. Copy image. But actually, it's an SVG. I can just save this as. Then in Blender, delete U, Shift A, reference. I need to convert it to something. Let's see if this supports. Right. Layer. Okay, delete this layer, and then we can just take this. Nope, take this here. Okay. So what the SVG looks like. Did it kill the transparency? Is this pre-recorded? This is not pre-recorded. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your message. I was very focused. on getting this done for some reason. No, oh, this is live. Trying to think of like would a pre-recorded message do this, but it's not coming to me. Okay, it's not actually. I want it to sort. It was just taking a little while. Oh. Now, if this is pre-recorded, it would just be a YouTube video. So if this is pre-recorded, I would try to make it more interesting. Upload this all. So blurry. Gosh. Right. Is it? Here's the thing I want, but it's okay. So this isn't chunky. I want to. I guess I could just make it. I don't know why I thought it was pixel art. It looks blurry. Right. You know what? Let's just go with the blurry. B. Right. Boom, boom, boom. Tab into edit mode. Subdivide twice. Take this middle card. G Z go. Z. Just scale. Wait. Z. Yeah, that head's too big. Okay. Z. There we go. And let's take the bottom plane. And then delete that. Yep. Bum 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 bum. What am I doing? Is this helpful? Does this make my game better? I'm not sure. File, save as. Anyway, go back to the design board. So that's actually a good question. Do I want? I think I do want. Okay, so I think I do want the character body 3D to be my character. I think that would be fun. That would be fun. So I think let's. There we go. Let's just divide this down the middle. So things I need to do right now are design levels. Step 1. Area. Let's just start designing levels. So I don't think I've designed levels on paper before. So let's start with our constraints. So I want fixed camera. Camera angle. And no, upgrades. Yeah, let's do upgrade. Camera angle. Could we get to the goal? Is it select? So like what? Okay, take a quick ramen break. If I have a collecting loop, that could be interesting. I feel like I feel like if I get rid of the fixed camera angle, then I could have some sort of like 5 spoked wheel thing, and then you got things here, and your goal is to go there and come back, and then we have things that are easier one way and harder the other way. That could be fun. So it's basically like and then we can have each themed. So let's say there's a fire crystal, an ice crystal. The 5 Chinese classical elements. Earth, wood, fire, metal, water. Yeah. Boom. Know nothing about Chinese mythology, but I think that's a good starting theme. So we have let's see. So we have Earth. I don't know what the difference between Earth and wood is in this context, but we could have Earth, wood, and maybe log cabins. Metal. What about electricity? Hmm. I thought there was electricity in there. Which is 4 months. Don't include. Okay, well then that's kind of a dead end. I do lightning. I guess I could do metal as. Well, I don't even understand that. Let's just okay. Um, 5 things. What are some things that come into the group? toes, petals, stars, fences, pentagram. And bunch of religious stuff. I should say. I mean, I basically just want 5 categories. So work from there. I can't just side them, right? So I guess we could do um, ice, lightning, grass. I don't want to do fire. Fire's pretty done. Like fire, lava, all that stuff. That's pretty done. Ice, lightning, grass. Uh, suburb. And just there's 5 elements. Actually, tube slide and ice are pretty similar. And everyone knows that gamers love ice physics puzzles. So let's conveyor belt. That's pretty similar to lightning. Let's get rid of lightning. Lightning could be more specific. So we've got a conveyor belt. That's sort of a mechanical thing. Grass, suburb, tube slide. Desert. Desert even be what would the gameplay be like? Uh, Major types of bios. Hmm. Maybe just like a farm. We could have like an herbs. Okay, we can also do like that might be interesting. Like herbs. Sub rural. Suburbs rural, and then like forests. Take a picture of a lake. And plains. Well, plains is gonna be pretty similar to the rural. Um, let's just put ice in there as a placeholder. And then and then got the ring, the sort of the hub and spokes thing. So, and for some reason, I really want this to be like 5 continuous level, like 1 continuous level rather than a bunch of different. So, I think they should also be like different in size. Like forest and rural should be kind of big, and then suburbs should be medium. Herbs should be pretty small. And then ice, I think ice should be somewhere in the middle. And you're trying to get some crystals or gems or whatever. I guess let's just start designing one of those levels. So, Also, if we okay, so actually, if herbs, we have herbs here, and suburbs, rural, forest, and then ice here? Question mark? I don't. So for herbs, I mean, let's just take a random. Let's take either New York or Tokyo. Um, um, hmm. We can just take a random part of New York. Big. Well, that's kind of wait. Is this? Hmm. Feels kind of suburby. Not a lot of strong, interesting design language. Um, Manhattan is obviously the classic. Ah, these are weird shaped apartments. What's up with that? What's Yankee Stadium? What's the surroundings of that like? Um. Wow. Yeah. Actually, this is pretty reasonable for the surroundings of a ballpark. Kind of an interesting shape. I kind of like this. Let's take a screenshot of that. That in here. So like I like this design language. Maybe we can sort of castle it up. Um, Castle. And that's sort of like the brownstones. I kind of like these two. Copy image. I think we can do some sort of like model something that looks like all of these sort of combined. That might be interesting. I think I'll just start gray boxing it out in it. Oh, well, okay. So first, I've got to figure out the scale of my jump. Um. Also, I've got the Pro 3D a child node mesh instance, child node collision shape. All right. Got a box. This box. Actually, no. Let's make it a capsule. There we go. So if I ever want to implement animations and some more interesting looking character. That's there we go. Got no camera. 3D. V. Two branches. Okay, and then if we go into that scene, well, let's just run the game. Yeah, that's a little too close. A little too steep. Let's make that. Ah, okay, whatever. We'll figure that out later. So we have our character by 3D. Let's add child node CSG box. Transform. Wait, how tall is the? Okay. Well, let's just put it down to 1.5 exactly. That should. That should work. And then I want to make the X big. Great. So here's our playground. 200 meters by 200 meters. Go back to our reference. I think I should probably, well, I wish I was better at drawing. A. Oh no, it's scaling them unevenly. There we go. Okay, so let's quickly do. So the top, we're gonna have this sort of fork thing. Okay, so it's little fork, big fork. Go. Got this tunnel here. Same thing on the other side. That's that. Band that up. I want it to have like cool architectural. I want it to have. Well, first let's. How tall are these buildings? Back to my guy here. So it's a 5 over. Okay, so 5 stories. I want at least, well, actually for a platformer level, let's try screenshot here. Boom, boom. Screenshot here. Layer. Draw some platforms. So we can draw like a platform here. Okay, well that scale looks completely, okay, well that's completely wrong in terms of construction. That's fine. Yeah, so let's put a platform here. Right? And then we can put a platform over here and we can go whoop. Right? That scale looks about right. And so that all that means is we just have to take this and I don't know how perspective works. So we need to take this and put some cool little like hats on it and stuff. And then decorate this somehow. So yeah, if we want to make it look more castle-y, sorry about the right color. Yeah, so what we can do here is round this out a little bit. So from the top, this is what it looks like now. Have it look like this. Right? That's some shape. And then I like this thing here, so let's replicate that here. That. Two little spires, and then we can get that sort of circle shape here again. Let's make it asymmetrical too. Of this, actually, if that's no, so because that's asymmetrical because this is on more on that side. So put this. Let's put a second spire here. Why not? Just a little baby one for fun. And then we take this type dealy. It's got two spires. And then we have another one of these. That could work. I can probably model that. And then we just need to do things like AC units and I think if I'm going into this much detail, it might have to just be one big level. I mean, obviously New Donk City comes to mind. What can I do that New Donk City doesn't do? New Donk City, okay. How big is it? New Donk City. It's not huge. Yeah, it's like one street. So if I just make my, well, do I want to make mine bigger? We won't talk enough about the fact that New Donk City appears to be built on top of a skyscraper. Hmm. Yeah, there's just like not a ton to it. Oh, city. Biggest junk city. Jazz music. Hmm. Okay. Um. Let's see. Get a scale reference on the city block I'm basing this all off of? Heck. How do I put my guy? Just uh, measure. Nope, that's rotate. There. How do I measure? Tools measure. Here we go. So I'm just gonna actually let's. So I think I want it to be. Oh, measure. Okay. So let's try like this little area right here. That's like a mile. Okay, so 1.63 square kilometer. Oh, that's okay. Total area is. And then we also need to take a screenshot of that. New. Here we go. Thing. I don't know that I want to make it to scale. I think basically I can just do like that. Actually, let's go back to Google Maps. What? No, no, stop. Eh. that, do that, do that. So the total distance, so the area is 57,000 meters squared. Meters in meters. Okay, so 10 million. So yeah, no, 1 million. Okay, so 1 million. So that's half a square kilometer. But also, can I even like what kind of platforming? Mm-hmm. I guess we can look into at time. In hmm. Hmm. Okay, so gameplay is going to be like jumping around. So okay, so because this this right here, this is an interesting. We can do a lot with it. And what's the rest of it? I guess we have some like maybe it's just like we have whatever the thing is broken up into a bunch of little things that, and then this is indoor, the rest are outdoor. Bunch of platforming challenges. That makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Maybe right back. Okay, I think we've got our design brief. I think I basically know what I want to make. Okay, so oof. How do I actually model this though? Well, let's find out. Okay, so file, new. Tab into edit mode. Control R. Okay, A. Wait, no, I want the lookups. That's this. That's there we go. R. Wait, heck. And then we can grab a link grabs everything. Grab a loop. Alt E along normals. Wait, that's not actually what I want. I want D controls. And actually, maybe I'll delete the default cube. Top view. Screenshot. So is there a way to rotate? No, there is a way to rotate. It is view. Okay. That's not what it. That's not it. All time rotate. Rotate. Oh, go away. Okay, I guess we're just stuck with this. I can figure out how to rotate it. So screenshot. That's good enough. Okay, so file, save as. And let's see. A what? Oh, edit mode. Shift A. Image. Reference. Huh. Uh, oh. Where are? Wait, no. Save as. Here we go. And now we can make some collection. Right. And now we can shift plane. Go into edit mode. Merge its center. One single vert. Where we're in. Yep. Then G to move that vert. Right. Oh. Now, E to extrude. E to extrude. That. And then what would I do? E to extrude. Oh, actually, the forks are all the same size. What am I talking about? Maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe it's more interesting if they're. Oh, wait, no, that one's different. Okay. That actually looks about right. And then R30. R some part of it. Actually, I kind of like this little wonky. 7. Let's see. And now let's add some faces. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, no, come on. 1, 2, 4. 1, 4. Oh, it's just. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. 4. 1. 1. I could just subdivide that. Go back into vert mode. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 1. Hmm. 1, 4. 1, 1, 2. 1, 2, 4. 1. Okay, and it's all quadded up. That should work. 1, 2, 4. What did I do? 1, 2. 5. Okay, I don't want a 5. So let's just subdivide that. 1, 2. And then 1, 2. I don't know if this is a good idea, but it's the idea I have. And then E. Come on. Okay. That. How tall are you? Okay. I have no idea if 180 tries is good or not for this. Okay, edge length. 2 meters. Okay. Okay. And then get tab into object mode, control A, apply scale. So this should be, yeah, so scale is I love that it's kind of wonky. I think I add all the details I want to add. So if it's 10 meters, wait, 10 meters is only 2 stories. It keeps getting smaller. Okay, whatever. Tab, Control R, enter. Control R. So that's Control R. Oh, okay. Okay, so Alt. Yeah. Shift. Alt button. Go with Shift. Wait, no. So Alt left mouse button. No. Alt left mouse button. Hmm. Okay, I think I just selected slightly slower. Okay. Wait, no, I can just go back into line mode, Alt Shift, Alt L and B, and then wait, if tapping into, but if I E, anyway, Alt E, Alt E. Hmm. Nope. Wait. Ah, okay. I have to just select them all manually. I don't know how to do it automatically. Alt E. Long normal. Wait, why is it? What? Control Z. Okay, so I need to shift like this. Oh, I missed a spot. Okay. And then Alt E. Normals. I missed that spot. Shift. Shift. I mean, that's kind of a cool effect. It's not what I wanted, but it's kind of an effect. But then, can you actually run across these? 9.6. So wait, if my cube is 1 meter, then how big is the tall, right? 7 + 7, so it's about 14 meters tall. So whatever, we'll go for it. And if there's some bad, okay, actually, wait, no, that's bad. Alt D, extrude along normals. This building has like a cool little shape to it, and then we can actually modifier array. Fixed count. I make it a top rather than beside. Vector. No, that's right because it's up. 0. And then we make that 3. That looks goofy as hell. I feel like this needs wall jumping as a mechanic here. Something. I think 2 might be better. Like this looks like a building, but what does it feel like to play? Because indoors I've modeled yet, and well, actually that's file. And file export as PLB. Yep, PLB. New folder. Where's my Godot? My Godot. Okay. So if we just assets former, bring that in. Oh, come on. I mean the size is right. I gotta do some stuff to make this. Actually, with this scale, 200 square meters looks about right. Although it feels like it'd be difficult to. I need to add something so you can get up on top. Also, I need to. No one here is pre-recorded. Yeah. So currently, what I'm doing is modeling a house, but I think what I need to do is just random mode E E E. How is life in general? Life in general. Alt E. Manifold. What does that do? Yeah, because basically, Blender doesn't like it. Doesn't like very thin faces. So I need to Alt E. Along normals. There's a gap here that I don't like, but let's see that file import as, and then drag that in. Let's see if that does what I want it to. Yay! Okay, and then main character, I need the movement script. Oh, and then I need to, one sec, I have that YouTube video. I should just have this memorized at this point. There we go.
Now that we've got this environment set up, let's set up a player scene so we can actually move around it. So I'll hit this plus button, other node, character body 3D, I'll call it player, control A, add a mesh instance 3D, and then I'm also going to add a collision shape 3D. For the mesh instance, I'll give it a capsule mesh, and the collision shape, I'll make a capsule shape. I'll shift click both of these, hold control, drag that up 1 unit, just so that the bottom of the capsule is at the root position. Then on the player, control A, I'm going to add a camera 3D, and then I'll drag the camera up till it's right about there on the capsule. Then I'll click the player node, add a script, make sure you've got this template checked for basic movement. I'll create that. Currently the movement is mapped to the arrow keys, but I want to use WASD instead, so I'm going to add some new actions. Project, add F, and then this will be mapped to WASD instead. Okay, I'll save this scene, and then I'm going to go back to the world scene here, click the root node, control shift A, add that player scene, hit play, select current. Okay, so now I can move the player around, but we need to lock the cursor and make it so that when we move the cursor, the player rotates along with the camera. So I'm going to close this out. Also, when we lock the cursor, it does become
the Godot coding. Okay, hell yeah. Yeah, I like Godot because the coding is actually fairly straightforward and familiar if you've played with any other language before. Is this like the really basic coding? I think I did that. It's like, here's how to move the thing, and you type in the code and you move the thing. Or is it like a more advanced thing that I'm not aware of?
A little bit of a nuisance to close the game. So on the world scene here.
Okay, I do need to do that. Yep. Script. Okay, this is a very important one. Okay. If action just press cancel. Get treat. Boom. Okay, so all this does is, oh right. All this does is if I press the escape button, it kills the game. This is very useful.
And then I'll add a unhandled input function, and if
I don't know the difference between input and unhandled input, but I'm just gonna
is action just pressed quit, get tree quit. So now I can just press escape and quit whenever I want. So I'll save that. I'll go back to the player script. Let's lock the cursor. So up top here, I'll add a func_ready function.
I'm glad it's working out for you. I went through those, but I got bored because GDScript is not even close to my first programming language. You know, I've worked in Rust, I've worked in Python, I've worked in Java, and so it was all like, yeah, I know how to program, dude. But for people who don't, it seems like it'd be very useful.
Input.mousemode equals input.mousemode.
Okay, so this port is so. I feel like I should have this memorized at this point because I use it so often. Func ready. Oh, input with a capital I. Input mouse mode equals.
Captured. Let's take a look.
Okay, input. All right. So you need an input there. Oh. What?
Mouse.
Oh, mouse. Wait. Yeah. one thing that's important to note: capital things and lowercase things are different, and will do different things. So yeah, input mouse mode equals input mouse mode captured. And that just means the mouse is not, like, if I run the game, you can see my mouse. Like, you can't see my mouse anymore. Ah, heck. Okay, I thought. Good. I would say GScript is my favorite language to work in. My first language, I believe, was Java, unless you count Scratch. So let's just take a look at some Java code for example. Java. So here's the Java code, right? And like this looks fine. But it's like system.out.print.println, and then you also need semicolons everywhere. It's a little more annoying. And then it's like public static void main string args. And so like this is how you tell the public static void main string args is the sort of entry point, which is kind of tedious. Other than that, I mean, it's fine. I don't prefer it. I think a GScript is probably my favorite that I've worked with. Okay. Yeah. So I would say GScript is probably my favorite programming language to work in. Although the advantage of Python, I don't even think of Python as a language. I think of it as like a user interface. So the advantage of Python is that I can just hack things together very, very quickly, because it's such the GD is just short for Godot. Well, so I guess it's technically a scripting language. So let me explain this with my all new. Here we go. Let me explain this with a picture. So basically, Godot is made in C++, right? C++. So C++, I think it's like C++. I'm not sure, right? But if you want to talk to Godot, you don't generally want to talk directly to C++. So there's an extra layer here. An extra layer here. So C++, that's the C++ is the direct layer, right? The direct way down. But if you're here, not drawing. I'm drawing white. If you're here and you want to talk to Godot, you generally want to talk to GDScript. That sort of makes sense. So Godot is written in C++, but you want to talk. But most people use GDScript to talk to it, and then that GDScript is made of C++. And so it's slightly faster to use this or to use like C# or Rust or whatever else. But GDScript is by far the most convenient, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining this super well. Let's try that again. Okay, so when you have a computer, you have sort of assembly machine code. And then on top of that are languages like C and sort of C++. And then on top of that, you have applications like Godot, right? And Godot, like GDScript, is made in these languages. And also the editor is made out of that. So that, how do I write so well? Oh, I have a pen tablet. It's just a little pen thing. I wouldn't say my handwriting is especially pretty or anything. Okay. If I try to do this with the mouse, well, first of all, I need to make this clear. With mouse, not as good. And I also have pressure sensitivity, so you can see here if I do a little bit, whoops, I can do a very short, or I can do a very light line, a very heavy line, and sort of everything in the middle. So that's basically how that works. So I most of the time don't want to interact with C sharp, C or C++ script directly, and if you can avoid assembly at all, if at all possible, you want to do that. I guess sort of Godot is built out of both C++ and GDScript. So one of the reasons that Godot is so fast and works on so many platforms. No, not really. It's more like, okay, so let's say you're at a restaurant, right? Here we go. You're sat down at a table, right? And you're waiting, and the waitress comes over, got a cute little ponytail. He's like, you know, what can I get for you? And you're like, okay, I want some pancakes. Right, and she writes it down. She goes to the kitchen and make your pancakes, and you get your pancakes, right? So this is a very basic interaction where you don't need to know anything about how pancakes are made. The waitress doesn't need to know anything about pancakes are made because there's a third guy. There's the guy in the back, the hat, a little bit grumpy. Pancakes. Again? Whatever, he's making your pancakes. Right, only this guy needs to know how to make pancakes. A little mustache. And that's sort of how programming works, where or let's say you want you want pancakes, but you want like a special kind of pancakes. You want them in the shape of a star. Right? So you tell the waitress, and the waitress tells the chef, and then the chef is like, that's a stupid idea. I have to figure out how to do with that. But obviously if you want to, you can go home. You can take a big pan, make your own pancakes. Like, that's totally fine. And so you can see how there's sort of layers of abstraction. So like if you go to a restaurant, someone else is doing most of the work, or if you can buy a mix, or you can make it from scratch, or I mean you can go even deeper and like, you know, grow your own. Right, and you can also understand how. So grow your own wheat doesn't really make sense in terms of economics of it. Like, it just you need to grow so much wheat to have it be cheaper than just like buying the flour and the sugar and whatever from the store. But yeah, you can make it from scratch. That's sort of like assembly. Like, you can make it from a mix. That's sort of like well, I don't have as much gradation in this as I should maybe, but let's just say that the mix is like C, C++, these sort of middle level languages, and the restaurant is like a scripting language like GDScript. And like technically, GDScript can do everything that C++ can, but mostly what you're doing is you're ordering off the menu. So here are all the things that the language is designed to do, and if you need to do other stuff, you can. But it's basically just like mixing multiple menu items together until you get what you want. I think that's approximately. Yeah, I think that's the best explanation I can think of, sort of on the spot. Um, basically, yeah, that's not a terrible idea. Um, so if you think of like, yeah, so if I'm trying to order something, you can think of this interface as the waiter or the waitress or whatever. So I'm ordering a get tree, right? So I want the waitress to get the entire game for me, and then once she's done that, I'm gonna quit it. I'm gonna get end the program. Um, and then the waitress, and then behind the scenes, this like one line of code um is actually a very complicated process. So I'm doing this, right? Get dot quit. But there's actually like there's a ton of lines of code sort of underneath that I'm not really interacting with directly. I'm just sort of take this thing, take all of my data and quit it, apply this process to it. And then you can think of the chef as it looks like a pope whenever he's a chef pope. You can think of the chef as sort of interpreting exactly what you want. This is all rough. Like these are all metaphors and sort of similes, and none of this is exactly how any of this works. But it's a good enough approximation to get started, if that makes sense. All you really need to know is that that GDScript is sitting on top of a bunch of other stuff, and the trade-off for being like more abstract, sitting on the more stuff you're sitting on top of, the worse your performance, but generally the more convenient it is to work with. So you order soup, and in this case you can also say, I don't want any tomatoes, and they can make it without tomatoes. Or you can say I want it in a square bowl or a round bowl, and if you really want to, you can design your own custom soup from scratch. But it's going to be someone else making the soup at the end. But yeah, this is all very approximate, like metaphors and stuff that don't really describe what the underlying thing is. Like, there's not a metaphor that works that quite works, because it turns out computer is really complicated. I mean, I can show you the source code. So it's open source. Right here, let me show you an example. This is all preprocessor stuff. Yeah, so this is what the underlying code sort of looks like. For now, everything defaults to Vulkan. So this is setting up different like display drivers. This is like different versions of this is different graphics card sort of versions that it supports. Lock device. I don't know what this means. This is figuring out like compatibility and rendering and stuff. And so I don't have to worry about any of that. I just thank you. I just say, hey, render this thing, and it's like, okay. And I don't actually have to worry about how or why it's rendering exactly, unless I want to. The advantage of a language is you can always go deeper. You can always say, actually, I do want to see what's going on under the hood. Just most of the time, it's not worth the effort. Anyway, I was designing this building. Oh, by the way, blame. Oh, it's exactly what it sounds like. Did I crash Blender? Ah, heck. It's exactly what it sounds like. Git blame is just so I have a pile of code. Come on. I have a pile of code and it worked great. And then someone else touched this pile of code and they added this line and now it doesn't work. So git blame is just, hey, just pointing out, hey, I don't want this code. I want this code. I want it to work like this. It's exactly what it sounds like. If something is wrong, you figure out which line of code is causing. I've actually used Git. I don't fully understand it, but that's my basic understanding. I think I just no, Blender's fine. Okay. Thought it was crashing. So this is Blender. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Blender or not. If you're not, you should get familiar with it. It is quite powerful. Especially if you're working in 2D, you probably don't need it. If you're working in 3D, you should definitely get used to it. Right now, I'm modeling this building really flat. Oh no. Okay, so the roof isn't actually flat. So it was doing weird things with the array modifier. I see. Is the bottom flat? Does that work? The bottom is also not flat. Great. I can just have it be this tall and call it a day. File, export, LB. Because the asset, yeah. I would agree with that. But I think that even if the asset library wasn't sparse, you should make your own assets. That's my opinion. Heck. Okay, one sec. And the reason is that just basically relying on other people's assets you're just going to make a boring game. Oh, okay. Geometry's kind of fucked, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. There, clean up. Gen use data. Okay. Yeah, this mesh is really ugly under the hood, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. Basically, if you don't learn how to make your own assets, you're going to be stuck with other people's assets. And guess what? If it's a good asset, everyone else is already using it, so your game is suddenly not unique. And also, it's really hard to get different assets from different places and make them all sort of feel cohesive. Oh, what am I trying to make? So I'm trying to make an apartment building based on how did I put it? It's in my other. I think. Is it in my other browser tab, maybe? It doesn't look like it. Okay, whatever. I was trying to make an apartment building based on a Google Maps screenshot. I can show you that now. I thought this building was kind of interesting looking, so I made it. So I remade it. Let's see, Sweetwater dancing. Okay, let's actually just go find that again. It's 811 Walton. Yeah. So I was just trying to figure out what I wanted my game to look like, and I was like, it might be fun to have like a sort of urban setting. Maybe like symbol of corn. I think you're right. It's a little different, but yeah, it's got some similarities, I guess, with these guys as well. Yeah, I just thought this was sort of an interesting shape, so I made it. And if you look at the street view, you can see that this is actually like 5 stories, and my model's only like 2. So my model only goes up to like here, and actually there's no bodega at the bottom either. It looks very normal from this angle, but if you go from the top, it's like that's kind of a funky shape, and this one's also kind of a funky shape. And so I was thinking I wanted to have like this sort of 4-block radius to be a level maybe. I got a little lost in the sauce though. Okay, well actually, file save, file export, GIF, and then import that. Does your model have rooms in it? No, it does not have rooms in it. You can't go in. Oh, you will not be able to go inside of it at the moment. Process. Why is this not working? Also, my. Okay, so wait. F6. Okay, great. So this, I need to turn collision on. Oh, and this one needs a dash. Oh wait, actually. This collider is gonna be really whatever. We'll just inherited mesh collision shape. And then let's just change that type to change type. Add child node. Static body. Okay, that should work. Heck. How do I reset the project? Getting run. There we go. Run this as the current scene. Can't see anything because I haven't added lighting. Environment to see. Yeah, and so that's jump. Yeah. So I can't move my camera around yet. I'm still coding that, but you can see that the scale is about right here. I just gave it. Oh, did I not save it? Save work building. And then this one needs to be in the TSCN version. That over here. Is it floating? No, it's actually Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is not terribly complicated to do. None of what I'm doing is, you know, if you don't know how to do it, it looks hard. I mean, I guess I was moving. If you just want to watch this back, it'll show you how to do it. If you want to learn how to model in Blender, it's actually really easy. Oh, I don't want that. Basically, all I did was like I put a bunch of points here, right? And then it turns out that you can just press E and then extrude it up, so just like make it three-dimensional. And then I added like one other thing to make it, you can make this little ridge here, but 2D platformer. Yeah, a 2D platformer is a great place to start. I think one major weakness of a lot of starter indie devs is UI. I think that you should definitely practice UI. That's just something I'm still bad at. But I would say 2D platformer is a great place to start. For me, I prefer 3D because making assets is just more fun for me. And there's a lot more, like if you're working in 2D, at least in Godot, I haven't really played with other engines. In 3D, it's just like, okay, you want a placeholder asset? Yeah, sure, great. Here's your cube. Placeholder asset. You're done. In 2D, it's like, okay, well, you want a placeholder asset? Go find one. A lot of people use the Godot. The terrible drawing of the Godot logo. A lot of people use the Godot logo or, you know, whatever else they have lying around, but you still have to go find more assets and stuff. And in 3D, you can just like toss random models in there and it's good. Let me see. Find what I'm looking for.
Could swing through the city and test out their space. So is swinging traversal possible, is desired? Now, imposters, fairly early in pre-production,
Here we go.
that was there throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Created automatic.
Reboxing. It takes away from game uniqueness. Oh, and there's also something called mixels. Basically, if you ever want your game to be taken seriously, you need to choose one pixel art size and stick with it. And so if you, right, so let's see, you can see there's sort of a grid here. If you've got an asset that's originally this big, and you've got an asset that's originally this big, in basically any other form, you can just make this one, you can make this one bigger, you can make this one smaller, whatever. For pixel art, because the detail is per pixel, right? That detail is just going to take up twice as many pixels. It's going to take up twice as many pixels, but it's not actually going to have more detail in it. And so, like, that's an issue. And then, depending on what you're doing, the animations can be a hassle. I really like pixel art personally, but I think that if you know how to do even basic sort of 2D illustration, all right, here's your flower. It can look really good. Let me get an example. Right, here's Plants vs. Zombies. And so you can see that this drawing style is not terribly difficult or complicated, but it looks good because it's a consistent, unique style. Like, look at this, right? like I couldn't draw this, but I could learn how to draw this pretty quickly. None of it is super complicated. You can see, right? This is all just pretty simple art. And so if you like 2D art, there's nothing stopping you from getting this good pretty quickly. Yeah. But yeah, if pixel art's your jam. It does have its downsides, but if it's your jam, it's your jam. Someone made a pixel art version here. And these look pretty good too. I think that the original art looks a little bit better if you compare them, but yeah, they can both work. Let's see. So what was I doing? I was watching a tutorial on how to get my
mode equals input.mouse mode captured. Let's take a look. Okay, so now the mouse is captured, and if I hit escape, I can close out. Now we just need to handle the rotation. So up top, I'm going to get a reference to the camera at onReady var camera equals camera 3D. And then under this ready function, I'll add another unhandled input function if event is input event mouse motion. And when the cursor moves from left to right, we're going to rotate the player on the y-axis.
Okay, so this I don't fully understand, but yeah, he explained it decently well enough, so you don't really need to worry about it. Let's see, get rid of escape. Yep. Now we want this script, so onReady camera, and then we just drag this in. And then, yeah, so what was it? Func unhandled input. By the way, func is just short for function. You can also hear them called methods. Func is just easier to type, so that's what we use. Unhandled input. Oh yeah, and these guys, these little arrows, that's the return type. So it's saying that this will not return anything. It'll just do what it does, but it won't send any data anywhere else. Sometimes you do want to return stuff, and you can return keyword to do that. So, for example, let's say I have the function add to, and then input, which is like x, and then that would return an integer. Well, that's actually kind of what the stream is about. I'm trying to figure that out. So I know I want to make a 3D platformer. Currently the idea is I'm gonna have a sort of a hub and spokes world. So I'm gonna have a main world and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of other worlds, and you're supposed to go between all 5 of them to collect some whatever, maybe it's a crystal or whatever, and then come back and win the game. But I'm realizing as I make one of those worlds in rough that it might actually be a better idea just to stick to one world and not do all 5. So I think it might just be like you're in a city, you want to go up on the rooftops and collect something. Do that enough times, you win the game, and then I don't know, there's enemies in a boss fight and whatever. I know how to do enemies pretty well. I could give you a gun. Maybe I could give you like a fireball like Mario. I'm not sure. So this is still early in the design phase. I was sort of fiddling around with mechanics in the first 4 parts, but now I'm trying to figure out like where the boundaries of my game are. What am I doing? What am I not doing? And so like the first 4 parts, the camera didn't move at all. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have a little guy jump. The camera didn't move, and the jump height was not variable. Every jump was the same. And now I want to have it so the camera does move. Every jump is, you can have different jumps by holding the jump button more or less time. That sort of thing.
So rotate Y.
Okay, let's just go skip ahead.
Y. And
okay, so general input. And int mouse and mouse. Yeah, rotate Y. The jetpack. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Toss that in there. So we could have jetpack. Well, jetpack. One of the advantages of jetpack is it makes it really easy to do like cover art designs. We got you on your jetpack. Whoa. I wish I was a better artist. You get the idea. And we have like the work-shaped building I drew in the background here. Makes it kind of easy. All right. Like that. And you got the little, I don't know, let's call it crystal or gemerald or whatever. Like that. It's all glowy. Yeah. Jetpack is very dramatic. And then you can also have, yeah, and then you can have a secondary collectible where you have like gas or whatever. There's a Club Penguin game. Just like use that as reference. Game. So kind of like this, maybe. Well, not quite. I want to have the ground be a thing you can actually like land on. I don't know why it's chugging so much. See that you get the gas and you have more. You're trying to collect as many coins as possible. And I think the beans are obstacle. I'm not sure. Yeah, you want to avoid the anvils. Yeah, so I mean, basically nothing like this, but that's you can start to use it as reference. Although the issue of course is the faster the player can move, the more stuff you need to make. We're getting ahead of ourselves though. So minus relative. Okay, so minus event relative times for I x I feel like at that point, if you've got a jetpack and a sword, you start to get away from platformer and it starts to just be an action game. I think that the idea of a platformer is that it's, I mean, you call it an action platformer. But the idea, like if you've played Mario, right? Mario has fireballs and you can jump on things. But he's generally not punching or kicking or like swinging a sword or whatever. I think that's kind of the design space I want to live in, rather than, for example, giving, and then also figuring out like I can do the math, but you can understand how that sort of gets a little complicated pretty quickly. So basically, usually you have like each weapon just has damage, right? So you have sword A, 5 damage, right? You got sword B. This is a bigger, stronger sword. one does 10 damage, and they always do those amounts. Or it's a 1 to 5 or like a 2 to 10 or whatever, right? But if you've got momentum, what you got to do is take the player's speed times the weapon, if relevant, and then like so speed times weapon times whatever else, if you feel like it, and then that is your starting point, and then you gotta versus the enemy armor. So for example, if I just have flat damage, I can say, okay, this enemy has 15 hit points, so it'll take around 3 hits. If I'm using exactly 5, it'll take a little more than, it'll take like maybe 4 to 5 hits if I'm using this range. If I've got the same 15 hit point enemy with a flat damage, it'll take 2 hits, that sort of thing. Whereas this is like your speed is whatever. And so I guess it's kind of the same as rolling a die. But it starts to get a little hard to design around because you don't know exactly what. I mean, I haven't really thought about it in depth. It could be interesting. But yeah, usually it's much easier to work with just like flat damage values than or like damage ranges if you're making an RPG type thing. Honestly, not really. Basically, all you have to do is, so let's say I'm swinging my sword, right? The way that I coded it last time I made these was basically if the sword hits something, and this thing has a, take damage. If this thing has like a take damage function, then you just like say, take damage 6 or whatever, right? And so right here, all I have to do is at the moment of contact right here, I just say, player speed times the weapon and times whatever other modifiers, and then I just say, take damage that amount right here. It's not that hard. It's more of a design problem than it is a code execution problem. And the other thing is that it's sort of a win more, right? So let's say I have my guy, right, and they're surrounded by 4 enemies. Because I'm surrounded by enemies, I don't have any momentum, and so, like, let's say I hit this enemy, it's not gonna deal very much damage, and because I'm surrounded by enemies, I can't get any momentum, and so instead of just hitting the enemy, it's like, okay, well, I gotta escape, I gotta like speed up, and then I gotta come back, right? And so like that's cool, that's fun. I like this concept. The question though is it worth the hassle? And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe it is. And then also you have to tell the player how it works, which is not, it can be challenging. Like, the player probably is just like, I expect the sword to deal 1 sword worth of damage. I'm like, no, you have to actually go faster to like build up your damage because it's a momentum thing. I think if it was not a sword, if it was some sort of charging weapon, so like a, what do you call it? Like a jousting lance. Jousting lance, I think the player might understand it better. So it's like, okay, this thing needs to be going fast to deal any damage. Anyway, I want to putting rotate Y. Minus relative to X. I'm camera dot rotate. Dot. Fun Angels. Okay. I take it you're a 40K fan. I got into it a little bit during the pandemic. I was always an AdMech person. I like my funky little cyborgs. Um, is there some? I guess it's like a charge thing. Or is there like a special mechanic? I know charging is important. Okay, so if I run this now, yep. So that works. But yeah, yeah. Okay, now we just gotta restrict the next thing he's gonna say is how to restrict the movement.
And we just need to lock this number to a certain range, otherwise the character's camera could like somersault forward infinitely. So under that, camera.rotation.x equals, and I'll copy this. Clan.
Okay, camera.rotation x equals, and it's like pi over 2. Mobility but are fragile. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, if they're like a melee focused faction, that makes sense.
And paste that, and then comma negative pi over 2.
Right. Negative pi over 2, pi over 2. And that should work. Do it wrong. Look up. Down and left, right. They also just want to change the attack strength on the charge. Yeah, that could be interesting. I don't exactly. So I think it's been maybe 10 hours. I was planning and working this for about 50 hours on stream, just to sort of say, hey, here's what you get for about 50 hours. Obviously, this is not as efficient as they could be working, and I'm talking to you, I'm doing other stuff. But realistically, if you're developing a game, you're also going to get distracted, so it evens out a little bit. Plus 1 attack strength. Is that how much is 1 attack strength? Is that like plus 1 on the d6s, or what does that actually do?
Pi over 2. All right, so save that, and now we can move around, and the player can look up and down.
Oh, okay. So wait, actually, since I'm trying to do third person, I probably need slightly different. I need slightly different parameters here. 1.01. I need to figure out. So I feel like I should also clamp the clamp it to like 180. Rotate Y. See what that does. So I can move, I can only look up and down. Got it. Nope. Okay, I sort of get it. I have never actually played a game of 40K, so I just oh. Oh. I don't know how to fix the camera. Also moving kind of slow. Relative to X. Okay. I clamp it. Okay, so it's rotating it and then it's clamping that rotation. How do I mirror this design pattern? So it's basically like your FOV feels too close to character. Yeah, I can fix that. That's an easy. Pull that back. Yeah. I feel like I just don't want to have. I want to go all the way up or all the way down. I want it to sort. What if I only let the character, only let the player control? Yeah, X. No, this is bad. I think I do need to let them control X and Y. Also, okay. I just like take this out. Bar. And X, comma. That shouldn't, right? Okay, so I can look up, I can look down. Try that pi over 2. I can look all the way up, but I can. No, come on. Also look. Let's try pi minus pi over 2. What state am I from? I guess originally I'm from Maryland, but I think of myself more as being part of the DC area. Like I live in a Maryland suburb. Yeah, this camera control does not feel great, but I don't know how to fix it. So, let's try looking up Godot. Okay, 5 lines and boom. Huh? How about you? Are you also from the States? Try this.
And add a new spatial node, which is going to be the root of our camera. I'm gonna call it cam root. Then I'm gonna add another spatial node as a child of the cam root and another spatial node as a child of that. Now I'm gonna add a new script on the cam root node and call it camera.gd. I'm gonna create a new variable called cam.h,
Okay, so this, don't follow this code because it's for Godot 3. I'm working Godot 4, so it's not going to work.
which is going to determine the horizontal movement of our camera. In the ready method, I'm gonna add an exception in our clipped camera for our player object.
Johannesburg, Africa. Okay. I have never been that far outside of the country. I've only been to like Canada and Mexico. Huh, looks like a nice city. What's it like? Okay. Got some low-rise buildings here. Go to a more dense. That is the dense part. Cities. Wow, the city's kind of big. Okay, let's go to right here, I guess. Okay. Feels like a reasonably small downtown. It looks like you need to drive everywhere. Not a huge fan of having to drive everywhere. What's this building? Oh, that looks like a metro of some sort. I have no strong feelings on this city from having wandered around in Street View for about 30 seconds. It does seem like everything's driving, which I don't like. But, you know, getting so distracted.
Which is actually the parent of this node.
Exception, get
This
parent.
ensures that the camera does not collide with the player. In the input method, I'm gonna check for the mouse motion with the input event mouse motion and increase the value of cam.h by the negative of event relative x. If we don't use negative, the horizontal rotation of our camera is going to be inversed. In the physics process method, I'm gonna reference the h node.
Yeah, most of what I know about South Africa is from I read this book. Like, I would say pretty much everything I know about South Africa comes from this one book. So in that book, the narrator was like, Trevor Noah, who's like a famous guy on TV these days, was like, oh yeah, my mom drove everywhere and she had all these like techniques for like saving gas wherever she could.
And assign the value of cam.h to its y-axis rotation. So let's just play the scene by pressing F5. So everything seems to work. Now we're just gonna need to create a vertical
Are you a Trevor Noah fan?
movement and also get rid of the mouse cursor. So I'm gonna press F8 to stop running this. And the second diagram has the target value for both the horizontal and vertical.
Okay, this is okay. I might figure this out might figure the camera out offline or next stream or something. Third. Roller in part 1.
Hey guys, this is Johnny, and in this tutorial I'm going to create a basic third-person controller using Godot 4. You may have come across my previous series, which was created using Godot 3. With the major changes in Godot 4, a lot of you have been asking to update the demo to the latest version. But I decided to create it from the ground up with a bit more cleaner approach with some scalability.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Oh heck, this is gonna be good. Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll do that. We'll do this next time. That'll be our next time. Okay. Yeah, I would not be surprised because he's like pretty well known here as well. So I assume like again I don't know anything about South Africa, but in Japan, that's the worst Japanese flag you've ever seen. In Japan, there's a Japanese player, Shohei Ohtani. I think that's how you spell it. Right, he plays baseball. And obviously the American fans like him, but he's like, everyone talks about him in Japan too, which I think is really interesting. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, have you heard the new Shohei Ohtani news?" And he's had a lot of news. I'm not good into the news. He's had a lot of news around him recently, and so both in America where he plays and in Japan where he's from, people talk about it all the time. So yeah, it does not surprise me that Trevor Noah's been has that sort of similar thing going on. Okay, let's see. So I've been okay. So let's go into 3D. Let's start figuring out what the world looks like. So if it's, gosh, if I'm putting jetpacks in, I probably just need to make the world way bigger. Actually, I kind of like this like non-square. Make that 3. What? 250. There we go. And then I also need to make the buildings higher. This model is kind of embarrassing. I think it's easier probably to start over and to try and fix it. Yeah, because if we look at the wireframe here, there's just a ton of like or just let me get rid of most of this so we can actually look at the part that matters. There should not be this much geometry for what this is. Like that's bad. That's bad. Yeah, I think I need to start over with this model. I think the idea was a good one, but I think it's okay. Actually, let me just shift a cube. Okay, so I'm in wireframe mode right now. Come on. Oh, okay. Let's actually S and that just see it. Okay, so here's a cube, right? So you can see in wireframe mode that there's not a lot going on. Now this is a slightly more complicated shape, but it's not that much more complicated. If we go into material preview, right, you can see that this is one cube, and this is just like a couple cubes stacked on top of each other. Even in material preview, you can see how there's just like a lot of overlapping vertices. And if you look in the wireframe, it's even worse, right? So you can see how there's like three planes doing basically the same job, but like because I modeled it wrong, it just doesn't. This is not what this should look like. Is the basic idea. It should look more like this. So, I go into. So like let's just like extrude this up. You can see how that only makes one. That only makes a couple extra polygons if I extrude this over here, and you can see how this is like a lot larger, but also a lot cleaner. And this is just a mess. And because I'm making an auto-generated collision shape, everything in here has collision, and collision checking is really expensive. So it's just inefficient and ugly. And I mean, it looks ugly in let's try rendered. Yeah, you can see it just doesn't. Actually, rendered is yeah. You can see actually we can look inside here. Let me just get rid of you. We can look inside here and see that there's like three versions of this, which looks cool. Like, I like this design element if you could see it, but you can't actually see it. Just, yeah, this is not what this should look like. I think that the idea was good of like, this is a cool shape for a building, but I did not actually execute it well. I probably should have just extruded. Probably it's not actually that big of a deal for performance. Probably it's fine because I'm just not, like, my game is not that complicated and stuff like that. More likely it's just it looks ugly to me, so I don't like it. Because of the complexity, if I ever need to upgrade it or change it or whatever, it's going to cause problems. And because of the geometry being complicated, it's likely that there's going to be various bugs with the collision system. Okay, so I think I've basically figured out what I want to do vis-a-vis. So let's just write it down again. Write it down one more time. So the game is got jetpack. Okay, so we've got, so the idea here is it's in a city. Got jetpacks. Hopefully I can actually figure out how to do that. And the design language, so what I was originally, is that the same document where? Yeah. So my original idea was sort of mix this, take some influences from a couple other places and mix them all together. So I really like this spire here. I'm going to zoom in here. Oh, that's got like 3 pixels in it, but whatever. You can see that there's sort of you see your brownstones. Yeah, like I like these colors. I think these are fun. So I think mixing that into my current design might be fun to give it a little more color and pop and life. So basically that, and then like medieval or modern. I want it to be modern. I want it to be like a modern city, but I want it to be a modern city that just thinks that, like, basically a castle built with modern sensibilities. I think it would just like look cool. I don't know. That's just, or let's see. So or for example, you had a bunch of European cities. Like, this is a modern city. People still live here. You know, like, there's roads and stuff here, but you can see that the city is kind of old, and a lot of it's made of older materials that we don't really use anymore. like this same idea here. Cobblestone, like this idea, and then this is, this is kind of interesting. This is all new construction. It's got wider roads than a medieval city would have had, but I really like this. Add to my ref document. But yeah, you can see that it's very medieval inspired. I think that's kind of interesting. So yeah, again, here you got modern things like light fixtures, but you've also got sort of this fairly narrow walkway, and you got the terracotta roof and the stone facade, the stone or brick facade. I think that's kind of what I'm going for here, or like this idea. It wouldn't be that hard to model like a non-straight street as well. I can. Yeah, look at that. Can we go there on Google Maps? Probably. I'd have to figure out where it is. Boom. Well, I can't go exactly where it is because I don't know where it is, but if we go over here, maybe, example, our little guy here. So yeah, you can see this is kind of what I'm looking for. Got. Or if we I don't know exactly where in the city this is, but we can check out. I think a lot of this has been sort of bulldozed for cars. You can see a lot of new construction apartment buildings. Maybe here? Yeah, let's try this place. Nope, that's the same place. Same place we just were. Where was this? Where was this picture taken? That's a good question. Pullman, Riga, Old Town. Okay, maybe here. Theme is parkour. Well, I think that if I'm doing jetpacks, then I shouldn't do parkour as well. That those sort of don't work together. Okay, we can see. Oh, this is cute. I like this. Probably never gonna use it, but let's take a screenshot. Why not? Or actually, Delfino Square. Here we go. This is kind of what I'm looking for. Not quite, obviously, but somewhere in here. Maybe I do want cobblestone. That might be fun. Yeah, it's a little hard to see because it's like DS graphics. But you can see this is like a lived-in European-style town with like non-straight roads. And we got the little wharf details. I mean, basically every city wants to be near a body of water. So that makes sense for it to be a riverside or like an oceanside town. I'm not going to do that drawbridge, but I mean, maybe. Yeah, I don't think I want to do parkour. Parkour. First of all, parkour does a bunch of animations I don't feel like having to learn. And second of all, if I'm doing jetpack, like what's the point in parkour, right? Doesn't quite make sense. Jetpacks. And then I feel like there should be some sort of like there's like the ground level gameplay, there's the building and roof. It has 3 separate types of gameplay and then like transitional zones, so clotheslines, umbrellas, stuff you can bounce on to get, you know, up and down. And yeah, I don't know exactly what I want the street grid to look like, but I think I want there to be like fairly narrow streets. And then, you know, I really like it when there's sort of a triangle and so you get triangle shaped buildings. We can do that. So yeah, I guess next I'm probably gonna end stream pretty soon. I'm starting to run out of steam. But next week, I think what we're gonna do for this is we're gonna start modeling a city, and I think that should be pretty fun. All right, yeah, I'm gonna end stream probably a couple minutes, because I'm starting to get tired. Any last things you want to get in? And oh yeah, if you're here in stream and not subscribed, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Built on a mountain. That's sort of This is sort of not actually. This doesn't feel like it's built on a mountain. It feels like it's built near a mountain. Like it's surrounded by mountains, but it's in a relatively flat area because that's how cities work. Yeah, let's take a walk around. So we can go inside here. Cool. Right here. Ooh. I don't know if I'd be able to model this to anything resembling my own satisfaction, but I like this. Another random. Ooh, what's this house? That's a pretty ordinary house. Hotel Kasi, okay. Kasi just Italian for house? I know casa is... drop. It's interesting, like, roof. This is an old-ass tower. Yeah, this isn't quite what I'm looking for, but it is pretty. Although again, you can see that there's no sidewalks, so I mean, I feel like if you're making a platformer game, you kind of need to have it be sort of pedestrian oriented. Doesn't really work otherwise. I mean, I guess I could make that the theme of the game of like you're a pedestrian in a car themed city, but not really feeling it. Wait. That's a pretty picture. Yeah, I'm not really feeling mountain. It's an interesting idea, but not quite what I'm going for. Few parking lots. Horse is is that a horse? Yeah, that is a horse. Shout out to horsies. I should put a statue in there. Statue. Should put at least one statue. Horse. Like chess? All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. It was lovely chatting. And yeah, I haven't posted the schedule yet, but I will be streaming more Godot next week, among some other things. Well, have a lovely rest of your day. I'm gonna also stop streaming. And yeah, thanks to anyone who stopped by. Really appreciate it. Next week.